10 biggest bosses in video games. Devil May Cry.
It's about time we all admit that Ninja Theory's take on the Devil May Cry franchise is actually pretty solid. It's not what most fans wanted, but it does have its champions, mainly for its sleek level design and fun gameplay. In DMC, you are pitted against Mundus, a demon in human form that has been manipulating humanity through, well, capitalism. Usually, he looks like a regular guy, a little slimy and smug, you know, a corrupt businessman, and then, you set him off, and suddenly, he's quite literally consuming entire blocks of the city to form a colossal body of metal and concrete. Beating him requires speed more than strength, but at least you're a half demon, half angel, you can take him.
Frostpunk.
This might be cheating. Frostpunk is a strategy, city-building game. There are no battles to be won, not in the traditional sense. You can't physically fight your impending doom, but you can prepare for it. First, you hear about the storm from straggler refugees, then, in the world map where you've sent scouts and outpost teams, you see it, a raging harbinger of seemingly inevitable extinction. The massive storm engulfs the map bit by bit until every place you ever explored is frozen in endless ice. Soon you will be in its grips. 2. It descends upon you. Upon your people, the ultimate trial of your competence. There is no escape for anyone. What is a boss if not a test of what you've learned? Here is your ultimate test. We hope you were paying attention.
The Legend of Zelda Skyward Sword.
In The Legend of Zelda, Skyward Sword, you will face a lot of foes. Some of them will be slender weirdos who can't help but stick their overly long tongue out at you. Some of them will be multi-armed mechanical guardians, and some will be deeply uninspired. And then, there's the Imprisoned. A giant, scaled, slug-like creature with a gaping maw of teeth and surprisingly vulnerable fingers and toes. You don't fight the Imprisoned, really, it's more like a race against time. You have to prevent him from reaching the surface before he can reach the sealed temple. Though each encounter differs from the last, he consumes the screen with his size, and if you let him, he'll consume the world itself.
Elden Ring.
The final boss of Elden Ring is a sight to behold. Galaxies and constellations form its massive body, barely contained within the confines of its skin, a neck that is too long, with a face, if it can be called a face, that is wholly alien, wings like those of dragonflies. Numerous arms with spindly fingers, one gripping a golden sword. It's beautiful, it's terrible, taking up a solid chunk of the screen. Your first meeting with this cosmic entity may have you shuddering in anticipation. You know this will be a hard fight, how could it not? When it seems like the worlds will manifest it itself to stand in your way?
Final Fantasy 15.
It can be hard to keep track of your party when you're in the thick of your fight with the Adamantois in Final Fantasy 15. Its mere legs can take up the entire screen, making Noctis and his pals little blips of nothing against the newly awakened, cranky beast. Fighting it is always a challenge. Even if you're at max level, it can take a solid hour to dwindle its health down. This is an optional boss, so you can avoid it and go your merry way, but, if you want to see a mountain come alive and then, more importantly, beat it in a fight, then the Adamantois will not disappoint. Just be ready to sink some time into it, you'll win, eventually.
Mass Effect.
The bellowing call of the Reapers of Mass Effect strikes fear into even the most seasoned player. How can you not be afraid when they blot out the sky with their arrival? Varying in size, from a modest 150 meters to an entire 2 kilometers in height, each is a civilization. A forgotten people turned into a biosynthetic creature of pure destruction. You fight them, personally, more than once. Taking them down is no easy feat, regardless if you're dealing with a smaller destroyer or the humanoid abomination that lurks in the collector base. You need specific tactics and really, really big guns. You can't fight them all like this, but you can try.
Dead Space 3.
Undead monsters are awful enough, they're nothing compared to an undead moon, though. The brother moon of Dead Space is the decisive battle of the third and final entry of the series, an eldritch horror of the highest order. This brother moon is, thankfully, incomplete yet no less deadly. This is a planet eater, a world destroyer. It would be one thing if this terrible creature were little more than an oversized animal, but no, it is sentient, and it is so hungry. Killing it requires you to quite literally throw it into a planet. Don't forget, there are more of them out there.
Demon Souls.
You don't even see the entirety of this demon's soul's boss, that's how unbelievably huge it is. The dragon god is a shell of what it once was, the fossilized bones of a dead god fused into magma in an ancient prison. If it hits you, you're finished. Luckily, those who imprisoned this massive creature provided a failsafe to ensure it would never escape. Since you can't fight it conventionally, you must rely on ballistics to kill this resurrected demon, and thankfully, it is entirely stationary, so you don't have to worry about its mobility too much.
The Legend of Zelda: Breath of the Wild.
Already intimidating enough in his patchwork imitation of a humanoid body, Ganon eventually sheds that mortal coil for a new one. Dark Beast Ganon in Breath of the Wild is a monstrous, boar-like entity made of fuchsia flames and pure darkness. He tramples along Hyrule Field, destroying everything in his path. You can't fight him alone. The final stand of Hyrule itself requires the use of your trusty horse. You can't outrun Ganon on foot, and, more importantly, you need Zelda's help to reveal the weak spots on Dark Beast Ganon's massive body. This is your last dance, so make it count.
Shadow of the Colossus.
Shadow of the Colossus is an entire game about fighting bosses whose existence seems to bend reality. These are masses of creatures that roam the forbidden edges of the world, and you must kill them to revive a sacrificed girl to whom you are devoted, monstrous though they seem. You may come to regret every life you snuff out to achieve your goals. The colossi come in many different sizes, but no one can say any of them are small. Small in comparison, maybe, but generally, all colossi make you look like a nuisance rather than a threat. That would be their mistake. See you next time. How about a like?